Blood, Guts, and Blu-Ray is part of Court and Parts, podcast network featuring pop culture, TV, movie, and geek podcasts. Check out some of our other shows: Geek Gravy, We Got 5, TV Ate My Brain, and Get Real Movies at courtandarts.com.
Coming to you undead from Elm Street in fictional Haddonfield with a beautiful view of Crystal Lake, the podcast where every day is Friday the 13th and every night is Halloween. You are listening to Blood, Guts, and Blu-Ray, part of the Core Temp Arts Podcast Network. Here are your hosts, Bloodbath, Bub, and Brett667, the neighbor of the beast.
Blood, Guts, and Blu-Ray is the official horror movie podcast of the Core Temp Arts Podcast Network, the home of Talking Shondaland, That Pop This Life, We Got 5, Failure to Launch, and TV Ate My Brain. Go to coretemparts.com for more information. Rate, review, subscribe to us on iTunes or listen to Stitcher, YouTube, TuneIn, and Google Play. Please hit us up on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and Tumblr. This is Blood, Guts, and Blu-Ray number 20. My name is Bloodbath.
I'm Brett667, the neighbor of the beast.
I'm Bub.
Music on this episode is provided by the Slasher Film Festival Strategy and Nightbirds. I am so fucking relieved that we are going to only do one movie for the next couple episodes. I've been traveling for the last 3 days and I'm beat, but my last bit of energy has been saved for you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Let's kick this pig off with killer news.
It's that time again. It's Killer News with Bub on Blood, Guts, and Blu-ray.
All right, here we go. So, over last weekend, a man attended a Halloween party dressed as Freddy Krueger in San Antonio, Texas, and he shot 5 people while at the party.
No shit.
Did you guys hear about this?
No, I didn't hear about it.
All right, so it happened on Sunday last week, and the man fled the party. And Lieutenant Frank Murphy said that when they caught up to the 32-year-old culprit, they found him in a van, and the mask that he was actually wearing was a human face super glued to his face.
Fuck off.
Swear to you.
Admirable.
Where was this?
San Antonio, Texas.
Interesting. I don't know why it's interesting. I feel like I need to read into that.
The whole fucking story is interesting.
I'm telling you, I don't see, we didn't really hear about this too much, you know? I had to, dig for that. I don't know.
Crazy.
No, it's
That's
just
crazy.
because we're too busy being scared of clowns that the actual horrible people don't get really put in the camera.
What I want to know is, did this guy, make another human's face look like a Freddy mask? Is that how that goes? Did he wear it the whole time?
You gotta give him an A for the effort, you know? If he did that, then that's pretty impressive. He really took it to the next level.
I don't know.
I would assume if he dyed it with somebody's real face, the skin would probably start to shrivel a little bit, right? I mean,
yeah.
I guess he probably wouldn't even have to work too hard to make it a Freddy mask. Although how he made it seem like he was wearing a mask and not somebody's fucking face and nobody did notice at a party, that's craftsman right there.
If you came up to me and you're like, I made a Leatherface mask, and then you put the mask on and it was actually a dead skin mask that looked like a mask from Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I would obviously be horrified. And as they're wheeling you away in the cop car, I'd be like, well, it did look like the mask.
I'd be like, let me smell that mask. Let me see if it's real. Does it smell like a rotting corpse? No, you're good. Smells like rubber.
Let me smell that for authenticity.
You know what I want? From jail, you know how Facebook and all social media is overrun with recipes of the real quick, easy way to make and bake a lasagna and shit. I want you from jail to show me how you made said leather mask with cute little piano music playing in the background. That's what I want for Christmas.
Dude, let's make a short. Let's make a short and do that.
You want
that would be a great idea.
That thing is called Tasty. You want a tasty version of people's faces as masks.
Tasty dead skin mask.
He made it look so easy.
And then you put it on, and then like the short ends with you putting it on, and then just revving up a chainsaw and walking out of the frame. It's amazing.
Oh,
amazing.
Love it.
All right, so my next piece, George Romero publicly said to AV Club online this week that Brad Pitt in The Walking Dead killed the zombie genre. He basically said that Brad Pitt came along with $4 million and jammed a hacksaw right through the zombie genre.
I actually read that.
Wow.
Yeah, it was like 2 days ago he said it.
Yeah, I read that actually.
I guess they were asking him like, hey, like, you know, when are you gonna like, you know, continue on with your Dead series? And he said like, nah, I don't know. He has no interest right now because of that.
So, let me correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't really I don't watch The Walking Dead.
I don't watch it either.
Me neither.
Although I do keep hearing about this season 7 premiere, and I watched the part that everyone's talking about, and have they never seen a horror movie before? I don't get it. It's not. Maybe it's because it's TV. They consider it brutal, but like, not all that brutal to me. But like, he's talking about World War Z, right?
Yep.
Oh, okay. It was only $4 million to make that.
Oh, I don't know. I think he said like he was exaggerating the numbers. Like I guess it grossed like, you know, like a lot of money. So he's like Brad Pitt walked in with $400 million. You know?
Oh, 400. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
If you told me that made $400 million, I would not be surprised.
I mean, it was pretty mainstream.
It was very mainstream. It was like an extended episode of The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't too thrilled by it. We should review that in the near future and just shit all over it. So that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, what else you got?
All right, so the new Evil Dead game, Endless Nightmare, was released in the iPhone App Store this week, and it's so tough. It's so hard.
What weapon are you up to right now?
Well, you know, they teased me. Like, I'm using a nail gun, I'm using a box cutter, and then they're like, oh, okay, we'll let you use this sawed-off shotgun for a little bit. Then they took it away from me. It was only a sampler.
Yeah, you had to earn it or you have to buy it.
Yep.
And I have the revolver now.
How's that?
You only get 3 bullets, so and that's what you have to kill the brute zombies with.
Okay.
The best weapon is the skull splitter, and which is the crowbar.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that works pretty good.
And then you just run away. You just dodge, duck, dip, dive, and dodge out of the way of everyone, and use your rabbit's foot and do all that stuff. Like, it's pretty good. Did any of you guys get to the witch yet?
No.
I did. I can't kill her. I've tried so many times. I can't.
I have not been playing this game.
Okay, it's really fun. It's a fun game to play. It's just like it's basically like Zombie Highway. Did you play Zombie Highway?
I did not.
Alright, well,
it's free. It's free though.
Both are free, and you need to do a little catching up. But
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, but I am way too entrenched right now in the best iPhone game ever made, a PewDiePie's tuber simulation.
What? What is that?
Go
That's
on.
called sarcasm. No, I'm joking. I was watching a video the other day, somebody making fun of it. You guys ever heard of PewDiePie, right?
No.
You ever heard of PewDiePie? The guy's like
Nope.
He's got like 500 million viewers. He's like a Let's Player. He's like from fucking Sweden or some shit. And like Disney bought him and they gave him like $100 million. Now he makes TV shows and shit. No, not ringing a bell.
Is that like surprise eggs? Like those YouTube videos of surprise eggs for kids?
No, like Let's Play. Like he plays like scary games like Resident Evil and like Outlast and shit like that. And like people like to, and he has like a webcam in front of him so you can see him jump and get scared. And he makes goofy, weird videos, and millions of fucking preteens just eat this shit up like nothing, like nobody else's fucking business. And he makes millions of dollars. And he released. Didn't they do a like South Park episode or something about him? They probably did. Okay, I think I know who you're talking about now, and I know you're being sarcastic, but I don't give a shit about this guy. Well, yeah, exactly, and that was the whole joke, is that he released a game that people were playing, that it's one of those like fucking wait and tap and play or spend real money to keep playing games that you can create the coolest YouTuber room with all the coolest things, and I was just like, yep. So that's a thing. I wish that the podcast could capture my face right now. It's not good. It's not good. It's not good. There's a combination of just tired and now more tired that you. Well, I'm glad I injected real life horror into this podcast immediately. We're not even like 10-15 minutes in. I've already brought real life horror. Ugh, that sounds like a terrible game.
Before I end this, we gotta talk about real life horror one more time. I think there's a lady trying to sue that McCamey Manor place in San Diego I was telling you guys about a couple weeks ago.
Oh, really?
That was like one of those haunt things where you you sign a waiver, but you're in the haunted house for like 7 hours. Remember I was telling you about that?
Yeah.
Well, supposedly this lady said they put a cage over her head, they basically waterboarded her almost. She said it was terrible. She's got like PTSD from it.
Signed a waiver.
I'm telling you, that's I think you're kind of at a loss, but pretty crazy.
Signed a waiver.
Right? And supposedly it's free to go in this place. It's free.
Well, that's your fault.
No.
I think all you have to do is bring they basically you donate a bag of food. You bring it's almost like a food drive thing. To get into this.
Bring your own vomit bag.
So their heart's in the right place. They're like, hey, we're trying to feed the homeless, but we're also putting a cage on your head and trying to drown you.
I love it. That's great. That's great. I love it.
I'm telling you. And that's killer news this week.
All right. So, we will be right back, and we're going to talk about a movie. You're listening to Blood, Guts, and Blu-Ray.
You are listening to Blood, Guts, and Blu-Ray. Let us know what you think by reaching out to us. We can be found on Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram, or Facebook by simply searching Blood, Guts, and Blu-Ray. To suggest a film or trailer you think we should discuss, or to comment on this or any other episode, send an email to bloodgutsandblueray@gmail.com. We will always get back to you. Thank you for listening to Blood, Guts, and Blu-ray, and enjoy the rest of the show.
Everyone has a birthday they'll always remember.
Can we open my presents now, Mommy? A good guy! I knew it! I'm Chucky.
He's something, isn't he?
This is Andy's.
Time for bed, Andy. Good night, baby.
Good night, Aunt Maggie. Good night, Chucky.
Everyone knows most accidents happen at home.
How did that happen?
This is no accident.
Andy!
I'm Detective Mike Norris. Homicide.
Andy!
Miss Peterson's dead, Miss Barkley. She fell from the kitchen window.
Someone's moved in with the Barkley family. And so has terror.
Mommy, I know who was on the counter.
Andy!
Who, Andy?
Chucky.
Nobody believes you about Chucky. It came alive in my hand.
Oh, for God's sake.
Why won't you believe?
Because I'm sane, Mrs. Barkley. Sane and rational.
No one believes the truth. Or lives to tell it. There's nothing nice about murder. And there's nothing innocent about child's play.
All right, and we're back for episode 20. We are going to talk about 1988's Child's Play, directed by Tom Holland, who is sort of all over the place as far as horror goes. Holland directed Fright Night, Thinner, and Fatal Beauty, which is a dreadful film to watch. But he also wrote a couple cool movies like Psycho 2 and Class of 84. And if you saw the Hatchet sequel, then you recognize him as Danielle Harris's uncle in the movie. Anyway, Child's Play has a body count of 5. There's no naughty count. It was made on a budget of $9 million, and it grossed $44 million. So it was pretty successful. Brett, you ready to go?
Yeah, let's do it, man.
All right.
So Charles Lee Ray, known criminal, is being chased by Officer Mike Norris, and through a lot of gunfire, is end up basically on his last breath. He's dying, and he causes a spell for him to be injected into a good guy doll, taking the form of Chucky, who nefariously ends up in the hands of a young Andy Barclay. Of course, none of the adults nearby will ever believe young Andy as he just starts discussing the fact that the doll is talking and telling him to do things and telling him he needs things, which of course leads Chucky, aka Charles, on a blood-fueled adventure to go ahead and tie up all the loose ends from his former criminal partners. And by the time the adults start kind of figuring everything out, it's most likely the end of the road for him.
We all just agree that nobody could do Chucky like Brad Dourif does. Nobody. I can't think of one person who could do Chucky's voice.
No, it's
would
synonymous.
Ever be as good as Brad Dourif, and if you could put somebody in Brad Dourif's place, if Brad Dourif lost the ability to speak, who would you want to be the voice of Chucky? Who do you think could do it?
I already have the instant answer, and it's gonna knock your socks off. Gilbert Gottfried.
Oh, that's good. That is pretty good.
Because they become jokes as of recent, so why don't we just fucking amp up the ham and just take it to another level?
It kind of makes sense, because, I mean, Child's Play, Gilbert Gottfried was in Problem Child. Think about it.
I like that turnaround.
So there, real quick though, there's supposed to be a reboot of the franchise coming out. It's next year.
Really?
It's gonna be really dark. Brad Dourif is still gonna be the voice of Chucky. Dom Mancini is still gonna write it. David Kirchner's gonna produce it. So it's gonna basically have all of the important parts. So the guy who's written all of them is going to still be a part of it, and he's like, I'm gonna back off the horror comedy type of thing. I'm gonna get really, really dark with this. And I'm never really excited for reboots. I am excited for this. I think this will be great, because as long as you're not replacing Brad Dourif, or you're not doing a CGI, please don't do a fucking CGI thing. Like, you know what I mean? I would hate to see that. But I'm actually kind of excited for that. So yeah, Brad Dourif's amazing. I love him. It helps that he's also an Academy Award nominated actor for One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest as the supporting actor. But Catherine Hicks, she's also really good in this movie. She makes a pretty convincing mom. But I think that's all she's really ever done in her acting career, because the only other thing I know her from is Seventh Heaven as the mom. So unless any of you guys can think of something else that she was in, I can't. And the first time my parents put on like Seventh Heaven, I was like, that's the mom from Chucky. And my parents went, we're gonna start keeping an eye on what you watch now.
That was I actually had the same thing a while ago when I first saw the Lord of the Rings trilogy. I was like, is that Chucky? Like, is that Grima Wormtongue as Chucky? And then that fucking destroyed that character, which thank God is a small character, through the whole entire film, because I'm just like, oh, does Chucky want to make love with the little pretty blonde girl? Like, he's such a pussy in that movie, and I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, fucking Charles Ray would never fucking subside with this shit. No way. So yes,
dude, he's been in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest and Ragtime and a bunch of other like really well done movies, and he will always be Chucky.
Always.
Like no matter what,
what a spectrum of movies too. He didn't just stick to one genre. It's like, oh okay, yeah, I'll do that, and I'll do that movie really well, and oh wait, it's a success, but nobody knows who I am, except for horror fans.
Yeah, we all know.
Yep.
So, I don't remember how many. Well, it was 9 episodes ago. You and I talked about Puppet Master and Demonic Toys and Full Moon Films for basically a full episode. And Full Moon Films is sort of the production house that is really famous for these kinds of movies, where it's like puppets and all that kind of stuff. They wish they could make a movie this good.
Oh, God.
Universal Arts shit all over them.
The acting in this is really, really good. You know, for horror movies usually don't employ the best actors. I think everybody did a pretty good job overall, and the effects are just incredible.
Oh, the effects are great, and I mean, the acting is definitely phenomenal across the board. I'm not a real big fan of the kid who played Andy, but I kind of let that one slide because he's a kid, like, and he plays a good kid. I'm just not really drawn in by him, but the surrounding cast, and of course, obviously Chucky, fantastic, like legitimate acting.
I agree with you about the kid who played Andy, and he didn't get good at that part because he's always like, "Mommy."
He's very whiny, very whiny.
On. Oh, Chucky's. First off, if my daughter ever makes breakfast the way that kid makes breakfast in the beginning, I will fucking put her up for adoption.
When you say make breakfast,
oh, that fucking
you mean like
terrible.
pour cereal all over a plate and pour milk on it?
And then use like a whole stick of butter for a piece of bread? What's wrong with you, kid? Concentrate on what you're doing. You're gonna get someone killed later in life.
I mean, he's 6. My daughter knows how to fucking bread toast. She knows what toast looks like. She doesn't think I don't stick a fucking full stick of butter on there.
Yeah. It's ridiculous.
Dumbass.
And I'm sure your daughter knows how to pour cereal, right? She's probably poured herself cereal before.
She has.
Anyway. But I agree with you. It is up until a part, and I'm gonna get to that part later. But he's always like, "Oh, Chucky."
And I don't want to keep harping on the same subject, but even the scenes where like he's kind of talking to Chucky in the beginning of the movie, he's so monotone and dead-eyed talking to him, and I'm like, honestly, this is before the carnage and horror starts happening. What fucking 6-year-old boy wouldn't be elated with delight that his doll has come to life and started talking to him? Because Chucky's not saying really fucking twisted shit to him in the beginning because he's smart. So, like, what kid wouldn't be like, holy shit, you're fucking real, dude. This is Toy Story come to life. Obviously not in that time frame. But wouldn't that kid be excited and almost giddy? This kid's just... We're not going to make the sound again because he did it perfectly. But yeah, he's just... He's just a fucking crybaby in the weirdest sense that he's not excited about anything.
Hey Brett, is this part of your conspiracy crawl space that Toy Story has an Andy and Child's Play has an Andy? Is that what you're doing here?
I didn't, but I could try and craft that in the back of my head in the next 20 minutes.
So, I was looking for, like, Chucky memes to send you guys, and I saved it and it wasn't sending last night, but there's one. There's one where I googled it, and it's Andy in all of his like snow gear holding Chucky outside right before Chucky blows up that building, and it just says, "What could possibly go wrong here?"
Yeah, nice.
That's the whole thing, though. I mean, this kid can't make cereal, but he can get on a train and go to the south side and, you know, with his doll, no problem. He knows how to do that. He knows how to access public transportation.
There are a ton of holes in this, in a lot of what's going on here. His mom is a single mom working at a jewelry store counter in a shopping mall and can't afford to buy her son a good guy's doll because she couldn't save up the money. But they live in a pretty posh, huge fucking apartment with a fireplace and a really classy elevator in Chicago. There's no way she can afford that apartment unless she's a doctor or a lawyer.
Well, the dad's in heaven. Maybe they got some money from the dad when he died. And he sent the Chucky doll down to talk to Andy. The Chucky doll said that.
There was a there was an early plot line in this story where before it was called Child's Play, it was called Bloody Buddies.
Nice.
And they were going to, I guess, like Andy's blood would get mixed in with Chucky's blood, and that is what would make him come to life, and it would be like his id, like it would be his rage, you know. And I like the way that they did this much more because it did leave. Obviously, they changed it because it left room for sequels, and there are a couple good sequels to this franchise. The newest one that came out is really good. I enjoyed it a lot.
The Curse of Chucky?
The Curse, yeah.
Yeah, I never saw that.
It's good. I think it went straight to video on demand at Netflix. But yeah, I definitely enjoyed it. I think one of my favorite. It's also got one of my favorite scenes in, like, I guess the slasher genre, because this is a slasher. I think you all agree it's a slasher film, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. It's creepy as fuck. Chucky scared the shit out of me when I was a kid. I didn't even address that yet. The Chucky movie scared the fucking hell out of me. But one of my favorite scenes, and it's so amazing, is the scene where Catherine Hicks like picks up the empty box and the batteries fall out, and she puts together that the fucking doll is alive because nobody believes Andy.
Oh yeah, that's a great part.
Andy's been there's like 2 people dead, and they think Andy killed them both. And he just kind of like it's like a cartoon. He's just like happens to be in the area where 2 people die. And yeah, so nobody believes him. His mom doesn't believe him. He ends up having to go to like a psych ward for children, and the mom goes home and she goes to like basically, I think she picks up the box to put Chucky back in the box and get rid of him until her kid gets over it, and and the batteries fall out, and she realizes that Chucky has no batteries in him, and he's been talking and doing all this stuff on his own. And then she picks him up, and he's like turns his head 180 degrees like the fucking Exorcist. He's like, and he yells it. He's like, "Hi, I'm Chucky. Want to play?" And I was like, "What?" Like every time I've seen. And
it was a great reveal. They did the reveal perfectly for that scene.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's like halfway into the movie. So that's what makes it so great, and that's what makes it so scary, because it's just like this looming presence. There's dramatic irony. You know that the doll's possessed. I know the doll's possessed. Catherine Hicks and Andy knows the doll's possessed, but nobody else knows. And it builds up so well. And like you said, the reveal is fucking perfect. And when Chucky comes alive and we see it for the first time and he's attacking Catherine Hicks, it's incredible. And that's what a doll would look like if it came alive, if it had to come to life, you know? And that's why Chucky is so fucking scary, to me, in my opinion.
And that's one of the things I love about this franchise in itself, is that this is a ridiculously stupid concept on paper. Like, this is like a kind of like a Ginger Dead Man thing. Like, oh man, a toy comes to life and starts killing people. Like, if you think about it practically, it's not a good idea. It's not really the greatest idea. Like, you're making a child's toy scary. But it's done and paced. The movies are paced, or this movie is paced so well that, and I wanted to say this before, and you alluded to it earlier. The Chucky doll, the animatronics, and the puppetry are great. Like, you don't get any like mushy side face. Like, it's not like you can tell it's not just a fucking hand with a random rubber puppet. Like, they do it so well. There's not like a random like, oh, you could tell that's a full-grown man in a Chucky suit. Like, it's done so unbelievably well for that time period that it stays good through. It doesn't age terribly at all.
Not as good as the battery scene, but still really good, is the scene in the detective's car.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
When here's another question I have. See, there's a little hole here. Every movie you ever see where somebody's driving and then somebody comes up from behind them and like tries to strangle them, they always, the driver, the person being strangled, always steps on the gas and not on the brake. Why does that happen?
I don't know, because the brake would propel the person behind them forward.
But it also propel whatever is around your neck forward and loosen it up. Their hands would go forward, right?
Yeah.
So, and and hitting the gas really only sends you spiraling to death.
I think it's a panic reflux is what it is.
I would never hit the gas. I would hit the brake.
Me neither.
I would put 2 feet on the brake and crash into a car and try to save my own life.
It makes me think of you've seen Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, right?
Yeah.
Remember at the end, he fucking slams into a car because that guy's got a fucking knife to his kid's throat and it sends him fucking careening forward and he beats the living shit out of the guy.
Yeah.
I would think Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, somebody had a knife to my fucking throat in the backseat of my car. That's just me.
Yeah.
I love what Chucky says to him, though. Like that line, he's like, night, night, motherfucker.
Yeah.
I also like when he's like trying to drive and Chucky is stabbing a kitchen knife through the bottom of the seat, and then Chucky hits the gas, which makes sense. That I would do the same thing because Chucky can't die, or at least he doesn't think he can die yet. So yeah, I love that scene. I love the dialogue that he has with his voodoo man, the guy who taught him how to cast the spell and then move and transport his soul into some other body. I thought that was really great. The guy who played the voodoo man was really good. He looked fucking terrified.
Oh yeah.
And I thought that was really cool. And then Chucky's got a really creepy line at the end of that where he says, "I gotta go. I have a date with a 6-year-old boy."
Yeah.
And I was like, oh. That's taken on a totally new context now. And then we get to the part where, and this is the part where I'm talking about where Andy, the kid who plays Andy, actually does an extremely good job of acting. And it's the part where he's in the cell and he's calling for help. And he's like, like, you know, and he starts crying, and it looks like totally real. Like I wonder how they got that out of him, because it doesn't fit with the rest of the way he acted through the entire movie. So I wonder how that scene came to be. That's just me.
Well, I don't think the actor Alex Vincent, I don't think he really bought into the whole entire movie. So he was just reading his lines, and I thought he was just legitimately freaked the fuck out at the end of the movie. That's the only explanation I have, is he was just kind of doing his lines and kind of like in the back of his head looking around like, I don't really get. So I'm talking to a scary doll. This is weird. And then I think it really drives home at the end of the movie. And I think maybe you get kind of a legitimate fear out of an actor at the same time being a character.
I was sort of convinced that they did with him what they did with the Babadook, which is they told the kid from the Babadook like a totally different story.
Yeah.
So they didn't because they were afraid they were gonna like traumatize him, and I kind of figured the same thing, and that's why it just didn't line up. But Brad Dourif recorded all of his lines and stuff before they even started principal photography, so he was never on the set, and they would use the recordings, and Andy would respond to the recording, so he knew what was going on. They didn't put gloves on it, I guess is the right word. So also he's like you said before, he's a little kid, and they just got when you start casting little kids, sometimes you don't cast the best one, you just cast what looks like the best one.
Yeah.
And he looks like a little 6-year-old boy that's into trains and My Buddies, and kind of clumsily just goes through like life,
And
he reminds me of the kid. If you've seen the cartoon Mr. Pickles, like he reminds me of the kid from Mr. Pickles.
Never saw it.
Like he's got this. Oh my God, you are missing out. You would love it.
I never saw it either.
If you guys like Metalocalypse at all?
Yeah,
I do.
If you like Metalocalypse, you'd love it. It's basically it almost follows the same plot line. Little kid has a dog. Dog's name is Mr. Pickles. Looks like a really sweet dog. Turns out that the dog is like Satan, and it speaks in tongues and wears dead skin masks and kills people and jumps ropes with their intestines and stuff.
This is starting to sound really familiar, actually. I didn't know it was called Mr. Pickles, but I think I've heard of this before.
Is this on Adult Swim? Is this
yes.
Adult Swim?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's
This
on,
sounds really familiar.
It's on Hulu. Yeah, it's on Hulu. You can. It's only like 15-minute episodes, just like Metalocalypse, but it's like really, really, really funny, and there's a lot of that. There's a lot of Andy from Child's Play in that, I think. One of the things that I really didn't like about this movie, I know I was joking around with like the holes in some of the details, which is, it's in every movie, but this one's glaringly obvious. But one of the things I hated is the ending. I hate the ending. Yeah. I thought it was super predictable, because we know that he's going to survive the fire. We know. But as soon as he's laying down there and they take their eyes off of him, we know that he's going to get up. And that's fine. It's a slasher movie. You kind of prepare yourself for that. He ends up having to be killed like 3 fucking times. Like, the logical ending would have been... They moved past the logical ending. The logical ending would have been Catherine Hicks shoots all the limbs off of Chucky. Mike's partner comes in, and Mike says to him, don't touch the doll at all. It's possessed or whatever. And he touches it, and then he gets possessed.
Yeah.
And then it like ends, that's the way that was the logical ending. But they kept it going for 5 minutes. or more. It might even been more than that. And they have to kill the fucking thing again.
Right? Like, how does that thing come out of the air vent? How does that come out? He's like, now I believe you, but who's gonna believe me?
There's 4 of you saying that the fucking doll came to life. I think somebody's gonna, at some point, they're gonna believe you. Yeah, I just thought it was, the ending really, really, really let me down.
Yeah, and it always has. Yeah, this is definitely one of those movies. It's more about the journey than the ending.
Oh, I agree. So, here's a fun fact. Chris Sarandon is the guy who plays Mike. He was also in Fright Night. That was directed by Tom Holland. I saw this little fun fact on IMDb. Both films are directed by Tom Holland, and they feature the main character that sees something supernatural and can't get anyone to take them seriously. And I mean, it makes sense. And of course, you know, we know that Andy's a 6-year-old. In Fright Night, the kid's like a teenager, and that's pretty common theme in like youth. You know what I mean? You believe something or you say something, and nobody takes you seriously because you're young, and they're like, "Oh, you don't know better."
Well, that's also a common theme in all horror movies too. Nobody ever believes anybody until they see it themselves.
Yeah. So that was pretty cool. I also know a group of people tried to get this movie banned because they thought it would incite violence at children, which caused MGM to promptly disown the film, and Universal bought the rights to all the sequels.
Smart move.
Smart move. We'll be right back, and when we come back, we are going to rate Child's Play. You're listening to Blood, Guts, and Blu-ray.
You are listening to Blood, Guts, and Blu-ray. We are dedicated to bringing you the show across your favorite medium. We can be found on iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn, and YouTube. Please send all suggestions to bloodgutsandblueray@gmail.com. Thank you for listening.
All right, it's time to rate it. And Bruce, why do I keep doing that? How many episodes have you been on? Like 16? And I still Bob. We barely heard from you. So go ahead. Dish it out on Child's Play. What's your scar rating?
Oh, I give it 4 scars. I love Child's Play. You know what? I just love this movie ever since I was a little kid. I don't know. Chucky never really scared me. I always felt it was more like a comedy horror movie, so I kind of always liked it. And I liked showing other people it, you know, because like they were really freaked out by it, you know. Like I showed my sister it when she was like 7, and she like lost her mind. She's all right now, but you know, not then. She wasn't feeling it.
What part do you think is the funniest part?
My favorite part is where the old people are on the elevator. And
I was hoping you would say that.
They're like,
that's my favorite
they're
part.
Like,
God damn it.
That's an ugly doll. And like the man's just like, just leave it there. They'll come back for it. And then like as she's getting off, he's like, fuck you.
Fuck you.
It's my favorite part.
Love that part. What a great part.
Best part. Thank you for saying that. That's my fucking favorite part.
That's another thing that I didn't mention too. There is the perfect amount of comic relief in this movie. It's not too much where it's hokey, but it's there, and that's like reality. You know, people are just trying to like always ease the tension or whatever with some, you know, with a joke or a quick zinger. Well, they figured it out with this one. It's a perfect balance. Brett, what's your rating?
Well, we didn't actually really touch on my conspiracy crawl space.
Oh, yes, it is time. You have to start, before we do ratings, you have to tell me that there's a conspiracy crawl space.
Oh, okay. I gotta start sending you messages where I'm like, I'm gonna have a conspiracy crawl space. But I don't really have a really in-depth one about this one. But it's very simple. And it kind of pays homage to how much I do enjoy this movie, is that I really feel like the whole entire idea of the Chucky doll, and we kind of touched on it with the house and the poor mother and all this kind of thing, I really think it's kind of analogous to consumerism and how parents would spend money in a back alley to get the Tickle Me Elbow or all these different dolls. Obviously, that's past that time period, but I really feel like in the movie itself, even though it's a crazed psychopath that is transferred himself through a doll through some voodoo magic, I feel like a part of it has a lot to do with the consumerism and the need to have the next best thing and the biggest thing, and how parents would do everything they can to almost spoil their child with this item because they feel like they're doing a lackluster job as being a parent because they're working this job and they're doing these overtime hours. I felt like it kind of fits in that time frame of that late 80s, early 90s economic shift. That's kind of my conspiracy. It's not really a conspiracy in terms of the movie. I just thought it was something that was actually prevalent in the time period and extremely prevalent today. That the Chucky, the good guy doll you have to get it for your child, and if you don't get it for your child, you're not a good parent. How dare you not get them that iPhone? How dare you not get them that Pokemon? Yes, I will buy it from a fucking toothless creepo in a back alley outside of my job because I want to make my child love me. I kind of thought like that doll turning itself on its end was an interesting concept.
How dare you not get him the Turbo Man?
Right? Jingle all
That's
the way.
exactly what I fucking thought. That mother should have dressed as a Turbo Man at that fucking parade. That's how it should have ended. That's the real ending.
How dare you not chase Sinbad around for an hour?
How dare you not get drunk with a reindeer at the end of this movie? Fucking hell. But so that's my random conspiracy. I thought it was an interesting nod to that and the bastardization of gift giving. But regardless of that fact, I am in Bub's Corner. I give this a 4 out of 5. I do have some nostalgia to it. I loved this movie when I was a kid. Same reason, Bub, that you said. I was never really scared of Chucky. I was creeped out by scenes with Chucky in them, but I wasn't actually really scared of him because in essence, he's got his own motives that really live outside of the family, and if you're a fucking bitch and he has to throw you out of a window, he's got to throw you out of a window. That's his thing. He's got to do what he's got to do.
I love it.
But the movie, it's crass and humorous, and it does it at the right tone without feeling forced or necessary. And it's a slasher film. It's goofy and it's just an enjoyable ride. So I give it a 4 out of 5 scars.
I give Child's Play a 4.
We're in unison.
I think this is the first time that's ever happened where we've all given it the same rating.
Yeah, we've usually been off by like a 0.5, but yeah, this is the first time.
Look, it's not the best film ever shot, but the acting more than makes up for the what I think is a bit of a lack of cinematography.
Mm-hmm.
Chucky is scary. It helps that you have, like I said before, an Academy Award nominee voicing him. The effects are amazing. There isn't too much. There's just enough to, keep that air of mystery, and it's like like I said before, it's just perfectly blended. There's just enough comic relief. There's just enough creepiness. It's got a lot of the it hits all the wickets, I guess is the right. It hits most of the wickets.
The wickets.
It's a classic in a lot of ways, but it's a classic with some flaws. But
yeah,
you just need to accept it for what it is. And so it's 4s across the board.
Yep,
that's great. That's just fucking perfect. So next week we're gonna talk about the movie Chud. Chud. Maybe it's Chud. I forget if it's a plural or not. Anyway, we're gonna watch that. We're gonna talk about it next week. Really excited about that one. Guys, thanks for listening. Thank you for all your support. We picked up like a ton of Twitter followers in the last week. So just want to say hello. Hi.
Hola.
Hola. And yeah, we're just really happy to be doing it. I can't believe we've done 20 episodes now. This is amazing. So then there's no sign of stopping. We're still having fun. So I think if you're not having fun by your 20th episode, you should probably stop.
Damn right.
If you're not having fun by like your 10th episode, you probably should stop. So we're in a good place right now. We're going to talk about Chud. Week after next, we're going to do 2 movies again. And we're doing 2 part 2s. But there's a little curveball in that, and I'll get to that next week. Until then, thanks for listening. We are leaving now. Toodaloo.
Good evening.
We're leaving now.
Good evening?
We are leaving now?
This is the end, my friends.
Chud, I am Bub.
Thank you for listening to Blood, Guts, and Blu-ray. Written and hosted by Bloodbath, Bub, and Brett667. Edited and produced by Bloodbath. Music has been graciously provided by the Slasher Film Festival Strategy and Nightbirds. Artwork and logo have been provided by Bub. Blood, Guts, and Blu-ray is available on iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn, and YouTube. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, as well as @BloodGutsBlu-ray on Twitter, @BloodGutsAndBlu-ray on Instagram, and visit our Tumblr page by going to bloodgutsandblueray.tumblr.com. For any questions regarding the show, advertising, or anything else, please send an email to bloodgutsandblueray@gmail.com. Thanks again. Get possessed.